Hello everyone, we're back with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Resolve. We're finally reaching the finale of this game. It's gonna be intense. And now we begin the resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Mr. Sato. Mr. Sato? Oh, no, what's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Nothing. I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but... I shan't let you down. Would you mind helping me to my feet then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. I know your dad has a lot of explaining to do, but don't take it out on me. Good morning, sir. Lord Ventique. Thank you for all your efforts yesterday. What? Oh, no, nothing. Just... I hope we can clear things up today. Lord Antiques isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. The Reaper. I suppose in hindsight. I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. I feared to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend. That did all this. Oh, you're not to blame for that, Lord Ventique. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling me that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. That having been slain by that evil killer, its restless spirit returned as some sort of demigod. With a deadly blade of justice where I, by the dint of the law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him. I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors may reveal his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative public. He was obviously extremely important to you. The Clint Ventique. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know that you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in court today. I never thought I'd say this. but I can see it in your eyes. That burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Thank you. Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Oh, Iris, when did you get here? Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Really loves it. He said it helps him clear his head. Thank you. Oh. You seem different today, Iris. Oh? What subdued, I suppose. I am not. Alright then. Good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh, yes. Would you take this? Is that one of the little photos that's usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes! It's a lucky charm! A little Hurley and I made once. Hurley? Yeah, he's got his little boat and hat. Adorable. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. What? Pull his ears? That's right! It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. You think all we need is luck? I just need to peek inside the courtroom. And it seemed very different than normal. Yes, it would seem. That a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikotoba all night too, do you think, Mrs. Sato? Yes, it would seem so. I told her in the hotel this morning. And apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. They? Father and Judge Jigoku, I mean. Just Jigoku too? That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday. Also for a defense and a defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once. Good luck then, Runo. Good luck, Susie. Yes, thanks, Iris. And you too, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. You must go inside now, Lord Benzies. It feels even more impressive in here than it did yesterday. Mr. Naruto, look! Well, Strongheart! The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. The escape of a condemned criminal on the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the man, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. While royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial, and one over which I, Maelstrom Heart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. The jurors' flames just... As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery are distinguished members of our judiciary, assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, a collection of your acolytes, Lord Strongheart. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You are a prosecutor of exceptional talent. Much like your brother Clint, in fact. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. For the trial of Barak Van Zieks, who officially stands accused of murder. Counsels for the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he's carrying out operations in secret, which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations, he had an accomplice. His daily vigil would be given the inspector's identification, and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation. Because while he was engaged as chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinners. He's recovered enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson whilst investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to this crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed one day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Osogi. I met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on the 31st of October, the day before his body was discovered. I have an updated autopsy report that includes them in the details. But the official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday, that the time of death was 5 PM on the 1st of November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. The corporal will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It would, yes. Especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put an enormous effort into investigating that precise matter yesterday. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. State your name and occupation for the court.
Inspector Jean Lestrade, reporting. Representative of Scotland Yard.
A self-conferred rank, but never mind.
What's your problem, Moto? What was that Gina again? Look, okay?
Huh?
The boss meant the world to me. It done more for me than anyone else ever did.
Oh, Inspector Gregson, you mean?
He got me out of the back slums of the East End and took me under his wing. Taught me that life can have purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here speaking for him. Oh, Gina.
What's relevant to these proceedings is that the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations yesterday has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. So, Inspector Lestrade, this is exactly what it says in that report.
Come right up, sir. All our detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. A little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is, this is what sold the Reaper at that place too.
Smuggled goods?
I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book.
Tobacco, teas, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at regular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets? It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked into the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating under his own authority without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. And on the day in question. The accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Brock Van Zieks, was present. It'll be very significant testimony then.
Why? But... Wolfentees has made no mention of this, at all.
In short, Wolfentees had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Very well then. Counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination.
You gotta damage your staff like that.
Wolfentees was at the club. He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest.
Well, we know that Wolfentees was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the Inspector's secret notebook.
Presumably then, there are also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there? None have been identified at this time, no.
Why? Why ain't you asking Inspector Lestrade here, eh? I really don't know what to make of all this.
Wolfentees told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson. But he never once mentioned that he met the Inspector the day before the incident.
You don't think Wolfentees could have been lying to us, do you?
That's not the only way to explain this.
Oh.
If anything Lord Ventex has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere.
You mean, there are details we've got to uncover?
Exactly.
I'll never get around to inspecting this. What's this? That's a scratch. Passport. Isn't this related to his transfer to France? Did he though? Because he found him dead here. Was his body chilled on the boat? Man, that's messed up. Oh. Oh, if only.
And one additional person. Let's press.
Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things?
Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation.
I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative.
I stuck into his office when no one was about. Because everyone at the yard had seen me going in there. They'd have me tip straight out of the street.
The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook.
You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant Chief Inspector Toby. He found it hidden one on his desk drawers that had a false bottom.
That's impressive.
So then I went to hide myself when no one could find me so I could have a butcher's of what was written in it. Because anyone at the yard that found me out, they'd have to me straight out on the street. I can get in now though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, it would never have been found.
Hold it!
Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place?
Yep. It's all there in the boss's note. Let's see if I can remember.
As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yes, I remember. I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in the future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings.
I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I've gotta do is read it out. I could too. I got this reading game buttoned up now.
Good for you, Kina.
Can I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the arm?
This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Kazuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it certainly had been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. Because the event requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Somebody cares.
What then? I get to show the reading skills. Apparently the smuggler goods deal is gonna happen at a gentleman's club called The Grouse.
Hold it!
The Grouse? What sort of a club is that?
I ain't got the focus. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I'm kinda curious.
Not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently?
I'll tell you what. You and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover.
Could you, though?
I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there.
I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it?
Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives at the yard reckon.
So how did Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case?
That's the question, ain't it? I'm just an apprentice, so...
And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings?
Yeah, that's what I was asking myself. Cause, you know, I'm just an apprentice.
When it suits you, yes.
Anyway, the point is, something went on in that club, no question.
You can't say that for certain though, surely. Wait, grouse? Are we sure it was a club?
Objection!
I read all about these clubs that exist in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean, the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on the 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This appeared to be a ticket for a passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. There's the day of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on the 1st of November. The day in which this to sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, the 31st October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission, the ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. I had a hard time reading today. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense. Present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. That'd be his passport.
Take that!
Right? What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st of October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Order! Order! This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, they docked on the northern coast of France for a night.
According to my father, who was on board at the port of Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed seeing us given our photo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean, you knew about this? The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've actually disproven their assertion, I tend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Azoki? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. That is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. Let me guess. This was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? Order! Order! What on earth are you saying, Counselor? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying that the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. Rogue Van Zeeks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. A new claim. That was Inspector Gregson.
Well, what the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that.
And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense.
No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper.
Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Wolf and Zeeks. Rolf and Zeeks is not the Reaper. A predictable response for someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went abroad to aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, There's no solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. No, we haven't heard from the judge in a while. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Mr. Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? Inspector Gio Lescroix.
What?
The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey.
You're lying. Even though them British folk got taken out had it coming. The boss, what the Reaper? Poor Gina.
There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activity. You may just be an apprentice, but if he spent any time at Scotland Yard, he must have heard rumors.
I heard nothing. I don't believe a word of it.
Then testify again, as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider your chance to defend your boss.
I don't...
I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook.
Yeah, this book does have a lot of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. Names of the victims, dates and places and stuff. The last entry in there was the 31st of October. It said grouse for the place on that date, and then the name of the mark. There wasn't about him being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in port 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all.
Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. You require only established fact here. You can't deny it now, surely, Rinosuke Naruhodo. What can I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark, and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. So, who was to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on the 31st of October.
Oh, how do you read this then? That's the problem, alright, Odo? It's a funny name. It ain't English. It's hard to read.
So it's someone from overseas?
Let me have a bash at it. Shiro? Is it? Yeah, Seishiro. Okyu. Maybe?
Oh no. It can't be. Seishiro Shikoku.
But that's Yoshikoku.
Seishiro Shikoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right.
Objection!
But that can't be right. I know Judge Goku. I saw him the day before yesterday. You're in London. So know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated.
As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Rex missed his chance to kill Spark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake. They killed the Inspector. Personally. The Reaper, of course, being the accused. Baroque Van Zeeks. It's an undeniably logical argument.
Hold it!
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. Lord Van Zeeks! The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective.
Huh? Well, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector.
Repeating rumors heard around the yard. Reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony. It's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself. By attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say?
So never this is our chance.
My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. Very well. I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. At once, my lord. Oh yeah, when he testified on his behalf and did get tried for it.
Hold it!
What do you mean a criminal? Judge Goku is no criminal.
Don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, you remember what Father told us? The Judge Goku did once appear in court here in Britain. It's related to the professor case, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. You're right. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. It was a pitiful situation, yes. I've forgotten all about it, but I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens. You did? It was considered to be an object to the professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage caused to the stand. And there you have it. Have what? Surely the accused has forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Shigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Just now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Come on, that's absurd. You take someone's life for that? There's no premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent. Clear the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. But
Hold it!
names of the victims, dates, places, and stuff. One particular.
Well, beside the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up.
What other name was that?
It was the one I told you yesterday. The same name, written over and over again.
You mean Assassin?
Yeah, that's the one. The friend who used so much is she.
Were you even listening yesterday? Assassin. The assassin.
What? Like, a killer, you mean?
Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable, and who to use to get at them. Well, the person actually executing his plan was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. And perhaps from what is said on the passport document, this is for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been Huli the assassin, who was meant to take Seisho Jigoku's life? Yuna, can you confirm that against the final entry that listed Grouse and Seisho Jigoku? What name was written?
Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it as it happens.
What?
They just had a question mark or something there, I think.
In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. What? Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not?
Oh, how infuriating.
She is already dead, they had gotten a new one, right?
Hold it!
You saying the mark listed was Seisho Jigoku?
That's what I said. Great name if you ask me. I thought your name was odd.
So pleased to have lost my ground there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember that. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago. Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now.
10 years ago, after that fateful case.
Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook.
I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here got even worse now. I'll just keep talking.
I have complete faith that Inspector Gregson is innocent in all this.
Of course I do. I mean, I owe him that, don't I? Because he's the only one that had faith in me. You know. The boss promised me he did. He promised me that even though I was just a diver, he could turn me into a top-notch detective. A couple good out like that ain't gonna go and rob people of their futures, is he?
Every single person killed by the Reaper was a criminal of the first order. Lowlights like that have no compunction about robbing hundreds of others of their futures. Their ludicrous acquittals in court gave them the freedom to make hundreds more suffer.
I don't...
So what? You justified your actions just because you are protecting innocent people's futures? I'm not suggesting that the Reaper's methods are justified at all. But life isn't black and white. That's all I'm saying.
May help us that Lord Benzies is in the stand too.
Yes, perhaps. I'm sure you knows nothing she hasn't already told us. There's no point in trying to get more out of her.
Notice how Cosmo-sama reacted to Lord Benzies' words.
When he called him an even more sinister Reaper, you mean? Well, I'm sure Cosmo tends to eliminate any shred of doubt that the man is guilty. He's looking for revenge against the person he considers to be his father's killer, after all.
I do worry that if we fail to find a discrepancy in this testimony somewhere, trial mate and education will go in our favor. Let's listen carefully again to what everyone is saying.
Press everything.
Hold it!
In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper.
Not you and all. That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook was supposed to say what he found out.
If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believe the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper.
One arm? What are you on about?
Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on the loop. The Reaper is an organization. With you at its head? I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements. Let me know when he was elsewhere. You could just say no, Venzix. I've been able to check the most recent entry in this book. I knew the location. You knew it's like grouse? Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone.
Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there.
Well, of course, the inspector was not there. It was at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France. As shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well. Back to your testimony about the contents of his notebook.
Fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago.
Oh, no, it's alright.
Right, I just had just about enough of this.
Gina.
All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people. It's hopeless. Come on, Odo.
Yes?
Why didn't you say nothing? Why didn't you yelling out objection or something?
What? What am I objecting to?
You gotta find a flaw. You do, usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You gotta work out who it is. Please. For the boss.
That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from his back slums couldn't make a detective. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Mr. Strahd. Is that clear?
I'm better with a lot of ya. It's lights every bleeding place you look in this world, isn't it? Why not enough? You know.
So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind.
You know what, Mr. Naruhodo?
There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd.
Oh, do you mean?
Hold it!
I want to thank you, Gina. You helped me find my resolve.
Eh?
What do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency. What? An inconsistency?
Really, Odo?
Yes. There's an inconsistency in something that was said by... So a little exclamation.
Take that!
Shit.
Objection!
Damn it, missed it. See, the outside is leather. You can't really assume that this trunk is metal.
Hold it!
This little exclamation point came after something Kazuma said.
Take that!
About you, Kazuma Asogi. Me. There's some attempt at filibustering counsel. Prosecutor Asogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. Very well then, counsel. Go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asogi has said? This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. A metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A bloodstain? A relatively fresh one, too.
Huh? You mean I engraved him on the boss's fish and chips?
There's blood on the inspector's trunk. That suggests that the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There's no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it.
I found it. Hey, let me nose for trouble.
Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship dock on the northern coast of France. As shown by the password found in the victim's metal trunk. So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport?
Objection!
He had pockets, but you knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On the 31st of October, where exactly were you? At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you...
Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you don't think...
Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he traveled. So, as it stands, you've proved nothing. Kazuma. Are you challenging me to prove it, beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day, in the same place as the inspector? He was there, the Gregson? There's a clue that you've overlooked. A secret that trunk can tell us. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless we must test it. The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Asogi to Inspector Gregson? Unlock it. Passport. Yeah, it's really stuck in there.
It doesn't think it looks like maybe a tip of a blade. Sure, it focuses right.
Got it!
There's a small piece of metal lost in the wall of the trunk here. Like the tip of a blade. Eh? A blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today. It's the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it here in this courtroom for all to see? Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Watch Prosecutor Asogi like a hawk. That won't be necessary. Oh no! The tip is broken. The fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword. The question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed. Kazuma Asogi. Expertly done, Ryunosuke. That's a point to you, and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Asogi? Yes. On the 31st of October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. What? You mean, you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You're following the Reaper's orders. Dispatch Just Jigoku? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk. But I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You're never going to do it? You can believe Kazuma-sama. I'm sure. After all, Toshigoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, aboard a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, from where we crossed the channel to Dunkirk. They boarded the SS Gross and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan. You went to Toshigoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there though. We decided to wait for him. But Joari told us he had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life. So I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town. I returned to England the following morning. A boarding house? In Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It will be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, but the mark was spare. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger. And then his wretched agent's life. That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim,
How did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. You kinda do. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. As you wish, my lord. You must take immediate action now. Immediately after I look at this evidence. To verify whether Seishiro Jigoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? I agree. That's your first priority. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise. You don't mean to say... Do you think Jigoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of the prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Van Seeks? If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you. Order! Order in the court! Order! We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now? Guests of the symposium have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the men can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst.
Oh no, that's Jigoku.
No one will want to kill a harmless Japanese man who only just arrived in the country. Except, that is, for the Reaper, wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we are unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, we will face grave difficulties. Court is adjourned for 30 minutes.
Sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare.
I can hardly believe it either. But on the other hand, Kazuha isn't in the habit of making up stories.
I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Jigoku, I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control.
Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. We have options. Out of options.
The very one less hand we can play. Or rather, one less ear.
Of course.
Little Mr. Sholmes saw that Iris gave us. If for some reason you completely found out of option in this trial today, pull the ears. Rip his head off.
Oh. Here goes then. I'm going to do it.
Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo.
Now looking back. Yeep. Oh.
That scream! Sounds like Mr. Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes, where are you?
Here, my dear fellow, here.
It's the Philip doll talking.
Pull it again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can.
Alright then. I'll pull all my strength into it. Yeep. Ah! Please, my dear fellow, you don't need to pull my ear off.
Mr. Sholmes, where are you?
Myself and my trusty partner are presently in the first class cabin area of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? It's left over last night, after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We're currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. Paris invented walkie-talkies. We've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel entirely. So, you mean you already worked it out? The steamship was where everything really took place. Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Sherlock Sholmes, world famous great detective. Recited to perfection, well done.
You're a genius, Mr. Sholmes. That's the only word for it.
Ow, ow, ow. Mrs. Sato, gently with this genius's ear, please.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry.
If I may, Sholmes. There you are, Mikotoba.
Does it also have like a little drawstring? Cute.
You may remember that it is in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse. It's Scotland Yard yesterday when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket. Well, of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert that fact. I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name. Yes, you did, didn't you? We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now.
And if we're unable to present any new leads then, I'm afraid to say.
Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That'll be wonderful.
Until later, then.
You'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first.
Oh! I shan't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operate in that way in the first place, Mr. Sholmes? Why don't you do what I know? It's Iris' invention, not mine. Adorable, though. Also know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes. We have but half that now before the grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, and you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. Hey, this guy. First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. Nice spell you with that. Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? You not recognize world traveling greats say that chicken stroganoff, wouldn't you see? Chicken stroganoff. You're a detective. I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikotoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me. Is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? I must say, while such adoration is flattering naturally, it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave, now! How distressing. My little devotee knows me only by name, not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikotoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Chigoku. There is no one with this name on board. But we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Ah, you mean Easton, man. You left shift 2 hours ago. Here, Dunkirk. He said something about emergency, I think. What? Are you sure? Why is he running from us? This cabin is the one behind you. You should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Mikotoba, be a good man and draw this tailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. Doesn't great detectives see? They'd even see this have ears, both left and right. Curses, the plan is ruined. And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even though I am not here, you cannot get inside. Mikotoba. I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Within a mere 5 seconds. So you've been so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? Good man, so the game is afoot. Switch for the electrical lights. I mean, he can stop you from flicking the switch. I don't think that's gonna work. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, that's good work. Sorry, sir, nothing to report. Use this stupid trick. No, not by me, but with this, no. As I told you. Now, Sholmes, now. Done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? But what is standard copying of my buildings? We could tell where we go. Oh, yes. I guess that worked out. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. There's clothes on the floor there. There's Eiichiro, without question. Was the interior just a little too late? It's by about 2 hours. So, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find in here. But that burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. Indeed he may. Which makes this all the more thrilling. Don't fasten people's buttons without permission, Sholmes. Should be a Lupin character in this game, that'd be cool. Oh, come off it, Sholmes. Did he hide the password around here somewhere? Like a reverse escape room? I'm the only one here, Sholmes. There's severe questions for stowing away in wardrobes and/or travel cases. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them. Probably just my imagination. It could be. And also, how long has this ice been sitting here? It's still frozen. Sholmes, please. In the trash can? Something buried in all the clothes. The rule sign is covering something. Uh-oh. You are still here. Able Seaman Stroganoff, hello again. I was beginning to think you'd never materialize. Eh? You're waiting for me? Of course. I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of trick you played before. It is all your fault. Jeep is leaving port soon. Get off, now. Of course, be sure to disembark presently, my dear fellow. But first, there's something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally. The debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kakoi? I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Bishop Jikoku has not yet left this vessel at all. And for another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly what a man is even as he speaks, don't you? Oh, how can you? Good gracious, Stormy, you've worked it out? All of it? It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance? Of my admitted logic and reasoning? Nothing will please me more. What is this? I am suddenly becoming the third wheel. We have a minute until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Time's of the essence. Shogunov, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Goku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Ah, it is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there's something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? I see you've noted it too, Mikotoa. Then please, you take the lead. report in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago. Let's see what the last 2 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba. It's been 10 years since you last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Well, of course it has, quite. All the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. As I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and take the answers until the answers become clear. So impress me. I think I can manage that. It's the ice water.
Take that!
Ole. Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass. I'm curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being been 2 hours ago. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. One might even conclude that somebody informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? But why would Shishiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? That's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seishiro was... yes. 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected. For you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this. This is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganoff? So, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces within this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure won't escape your notice. That's the key to this, Mikotoba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite. But life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. There has to be this sign, right?
Take that!
It's the most awkward thing in here. It's the rules of passage in this frame here. You're obviously out of place. They're either hanging crooked on the wall, as if they put there in a hurry. Yes, I'm sure you've already concluded. That frame was originally over here. Shape and size are a perfect match. Ah, you're right. When did frame move? Quite the most observant improvement, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? I don't think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? That looks like a bullet hole. Oh, who has been shooting walls? I see. The projectile has been removed. Maybe the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganoff. I had a distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? Huh. We were talking about the same man, I see. Good. Huh. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? You guys are some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense, as clearly shown by... I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. My dear Mikotoba, keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle. And I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I put a wager on it. So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides. Well, I can certainly do that. Oh, what's in your pocket? It's chunky arms.
Take that!
It's almost too obvious for words. Coin. Universal language of the world. Money. Ugh. And I wagered that the Eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jigoku, yes? Ugh. So, I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. Look. I believe you know Mr. Stroganoff. You knew where Mr. Jigoku was hiding at this precise moment in time. In the trunk? As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. You should let your tapping toes aside, my dear fellow.
Take that!
You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? Ugh. The truth is, Seishiro Jigoku wasn't able to escape from the ship in time, and is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? We're forgetting about the combination lock. We don't know the 7-digit code. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. No, I know nothing about combination code. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Huh? Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? I wonder if you expect me. It's a 7-digit number, remember? Okay, now we have a little time. Doesn't say Sholmes at all. And that's upside down, so yeah. Why does it only go up to 5?
Take that!
You had the medal, didn't you? Dang, it's a tight fit. Well, Eugene, you found me now. Seishiro. Again, why are you hiding from us? I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know? But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it? No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I have stories of your many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil isn't in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say, your old friend and traveling companion who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without word to anyone when things turned sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Great Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey. Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when you arrived in London to find a symposium and was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. Is that you, Sholmes? What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care about your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am. I just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you already purchased your return ticket before you even docked it over, had you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence. Is that it? Eugene, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, the ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Seishiro. Take it. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British court would be. You keep prepared then, Eugene. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Rikoku's trunk, I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? Eiichiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. But what, I have no idea. Well, let's pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Wait, isn't that the little thing from Rexon's pocket watch? And we're back. During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Rikoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no way Sholmes and them can get back here in 30 minutes. What are you gonna do? There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict.
Objection!
No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can only be one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. Is to a crucial witness, from whom the court has yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call a witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible.
The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow.
Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Just Jigoku? You found him? But investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggest that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find the man? He is located in France during the recess at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death. Because along with Prosecutor Sogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seishiro Jigoku is the sole witness. We can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side. Nope, my lord. No objections, my lord. And the judge nearly got us in trouble. And that was a good session, though. And I'm gonna end this here and pick up the rest of this trial next time. See you in court.